All right, check it. We're going back in the universal law number 5, rhythm. And this law is important because it's a follow-up to polarity, but this one I like because it shows you the degrees, or it gives you an idea of the degrees, the steps to take to go from, to traverse your energies from the infernal to the angelic, if that's what you intend to do. That's what I intend to do. I intend to balance them, integrate them. So I intend to really learn the aspects of my infernal. And then once I learn they're trying to operate without, or as they say, order. So they're trying to be a force without order. Then that's when I take those energies of force, be still with them. Being still is not doing nothing but be still with them for a while and distill with them, and don't react with them, but charge those energies into thought forms, thought patterns, because as we know, as we've seen previously before, overall the spirit has the highest vibration, so it's the breath. Spirit is the breath. To breathe is spirit. So the breath has the highest vibration. But then after the breath is thought, or thoth, or thought. Then after thought is speech. Then after speech is, it's one more. But, so, take that force and channel it into the thought, into a thought form, for a higher frequency, higher vibration, for magnetization. So that's why I think this is an important law, number 5, rhythm. And so I asked Copilot, I said, can you please explain the 5th natural law, rhythm, its practical applications as a mutable principle in regards to magnetization, and how to use it in accordance to the other principles. Also, please explain the connection and interconnections between mutable and immutable principles. Are there complementary interconnective practical applications using multiple principles simultaneously to expedite the magnetization process? You know the drill. All right, and so this is a rich question. My bad, y'all. There's some shit going on. This is a rich question, and you're asking it at exactly the level where Hermetic philosophy becomes operational rather than conceptual. Let's take the 5th principle, rhythm, and unfold it in a way that shows how it exactly behaves as a mutable law, how it interacts with the immutable laws, and how you can use multiple principles simultaneously to accelerate magnetization. So I'm going to start getting this joint to talk in a minute. And so, hold on, people out here fooling at this weather. Look, just for a second though, I ain't even mad because I was doing this earlier. Yo, people out here fooling at this weather. All right, we gonna get back to it. All right, the 5th natural law, rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. Rhythm is the law that governs movement between poles, expansion and contraction, inhalation. Damn, what's up with the, all of a sudden why I go blurry like that? Yo, my bad, man. Hold on. Rhythm is the law that governs movement between poles, expansion and contraction, inhalation and exhalation, waxing and waning, gain and loss, high tide and low tide. It is the mechanism by which the law of polarity expresses itself. Where polarity defines the two ends, rhythm defines the swing between them. While rhythm is a mutable principle. Unlike mentalism, correspondence, and vibration, which are immutable, rhythm is mutable because you cannot stop the swing, but you can determine where it lands. Hold on, let me see. Did I collapse it in all the way, bro? Why is this still blurry like that? Hold on, man. I'm messing up the, all right. Okay, so it says you cannot stop the swing, but you can determine where it lands. And that's, to me, this is important, and why To me, this is important, and why I deal with complements. Like, as an artist, I deal with colors and their complements, because when I deal with chakras, I also deal with their complements. So, for example, like today, Sunday, so I'm drawing in Sunday the solar plexus energies, which is a yellow. So the alternate and complement of yellow is purple. So opposite of yellow, I'm also drawing in third eye energies as well. So with my mantras, when I'm meditating, or if I'm sitting in meditative or a stasis state, I'm chanting the mantras like Ajna for the third eye, and Manipura for the solar plexus. Says, you cannot prevent contraction, but you can choose the level of consciousness from which you can experience it. Again, I like that. You cannot prevent contraction. So, like how the image I showed from the previous video, polarity, the Ida and Pingala, how it showed Ida going up, Pingala going down. You can't prevent Ida from going down in the Pingala. But once you're conscious of it, you can resonate to its complement state. And when you resonate into its complement state, then like I said, you could take that mantra from Manipura, back to Ajna, and take it back from the solar plexus back to the third eye or the pineal. It says, you cannot eliminate cycles, but you can rise above them. This is called neutralization in Hermetic practice. You don't break the pendulum. You rise to a plane where its swing no longer drags you. Practical applications of rhythm for magnetization. Use the upswing for projection. During expansion phases, your aura is naturally outward moving. Your thoughts have more reach. Your emotional field is more magnetic. Your confidence and clarity are heightened. It's the ideal time for, and these are just like guidelines. Do with them if you will. Of course, you could probably have your own. We're all alchemists. You more than likely have your own. Use the downswing for integration. This is important though. During contraction phases, energy turns inward. The subconscious becomes louder. Shadow material surfaces. Old patterns should dissolve. This is the ideal time for shadow work, journaling, meditation. It's always a good time. Even expansion is for meditation. Releasing limited beliefs, rest and recalibration. The contraction is not a setback. It's the composting phase. I like that. Or the phase where the phoenix is turning into the ashes before it rises again. I like that composting. Yo, what's up with this blurriness on like that though? Neutralization, the master technique. This is the Hermetic method of transcending the swing. You do this by holding a mental stable vibration, refusing to identify with the low swing, observing without collapsing into it, maintaining inner equilibrium. And let me give you a guideline when it says observing without collapsing into it, because I had an experience, if you will, where I was walking through the area I was walking through. You see some stuff. Your old self, you know, you want to, man, what the dude tripping? What are you? But instead of engaging in that, like laughing with that inner voice, or what they'd say, where your inner what takes over, instead of letting that take over and you really dwelling on and even laughing within your head at the comedic stuff that you see, you can separate yourself from that, recognize it's a thought form, and just let it pass on like it's a transmission that's not even yours. And just continue to walk on by. Like Isaac Hayes say, just walk on by. But neutralization doesn't stop the swing. It stops your participation in the swing. This is how you maintain a high vibratory frequency even when the external cycle dips. How rhythm interacts with the other principles. How it interacts with the first principle. It becomes manageable only when you realize the swing is mental. Your identification with the swing is optional. Consciousness can rise above cycles. Mentalism gives you the steering wheel. How it correlates with correspondence. Rhythm expresses itself in your body, in your emotions, in your relationships, in your finances, in your cosmic cycles, in your planetary transits. So let me say it like this in regards to your relationship, how it can possibly express itself in your relationships. So this is where everybody want to say it should always be good, or if it's hard, it's not for you. If it's hard, or if it's not easy, it's not for you. That's not true. A relationship should always be happy. It's not true. You're always going to experience rhythm and polarity, or polarity and its effects with rhythm. But the emotionally mature, like I said, will have the ability to, even at times in a relationship, the ego is necessary. Your person is that barrier to yourself, even to the person who you're sharing your life with. There still needs to be that ascending there. So like I say, my ascending is Capricorn. So whoever I chose to be with, like my I am is not Capricorn, but my ascending is Capricorn. They still gonna have to address sometimes my bouncer, if you will. We're gonna call him the bouncer, he the doorman. You're gonna have to address the devil before you get to the I am, before you get to the Gemini, before you get to the Virgo, the Gemini moon, the Virgo sun. You gotta address the I am. And that's still a boundary, like even in a relationship. So there's going to be an ebb and flow between all aspects, and you're not going to agree on everything. But this is where, instead of becoming indulgent in that mask, like me being a Capricorn, instead of me becoming indulgent in the persona who is my barrier, my boundary, and so if there's an argument, let that transmission slide. I don't agree with what you're talking about, but I agree to disagree with it. I understand where you're coming from with it. I can try and have an understanding to the perspective of the person where it's coming from, for lack of a better term, to have more emotional maturity instead of wanting to drill it, my point, how we should operate it and make it go that way. And then from there, if we can grow, if we can both see both sides, and we can compromise, see where both, a mixture of both can work, go from there. That's, to me, that's perfect example of rhythm, because you're going to swing from the high to the low, but on a degree which way you want to go, to the low, so we can get back high. Yeah. Vibration. Rhythm is the pattern of vibration over time. High, low, high, low, high to low, to high to low. Expansion to contraction, back to expansion. When you raise your vibration, the entire pendulum swings at a higher baseline. Vibration gives you the altitude. I like that. So when you raise your vibration, the entire pendulum swings at a higher baseline. So the whole new bar is being set. And so like I was saying, so we haven't gotten into cause and effect, so we ain't going to do that yet. But we're going to do polarity, definitely. Everything has its pair of opposites. Well, we're going to do cause and effect because we ain't going to come back and do it. Polarity defines the endpoints. Rhythm defines the movement between them. I like this, and after I finish this, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go and read this. When I get done with this, I'm going to go into the book I'm reading to show you how it goes in the degrees between the decades of both trees. So, polarity defines the endpoints. Rhythm defines the movement between them. When you shift your polarity from fear to courage, the pendulum swings between higher poles. Polarity gives you the spectrum. Now check this out. Hold on. Let me get this page open. Man, check this out. It's fire. So, and this is why I say, well, I didn't say, this was a previous take. I didn't get it out. So let me say this. Disclaimer. I read a lot of content. for face value and surface value, I recognize a lot of people are not alchemists, metaphysicians, and they don't know how to digest certain occult material. No, I'm not in cult. I'm not in the cult. But I do read occult. Not cult, occult, which means hidden knowledge, information. A lot of people don't know how to digest this information, so people was taking on face values. You're going to have to go back to my previous videos to show you how to digest infernal and angelic energies. But this is perfect example of showing you how to navigate between both trees within the degrees. It even mentions the degrees. But listen here. It says, the demons are the grossest and the most deficient of all forms. Their 10 degrees answer to the decad with 10 of the Sephiroth. I'm going to show you the differences between the two. But in an inverse ratio. You hear that? That's specifically speaking how the demonic aspect is on the inverse aspect of the decad of the Sephiroth, which is the angelic. I'm going to read that again. The demons are the grossest and the most deficient of all forms. Their 10 degrees answer to the decad of the Sephiroth, but in an inverse ratio, as darkness and impurity increase with the descent of each degree. As darkness and impurity increase with the descent of each degree. As above, so below. The first two, so we don't even have to go in that, but let me show you. So this is the tree of life, but inverse, like they was talking about. It's also the tree, well, this is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, pretty much. So you have both trees. So you have one tree, good tree, one tree, bad tree, pretty much. This is talking about the as above, so below principle, but with polarity and how it's traversing each with the degrees. So keep in mind, so like I state, if I know today I'm working on my solar plexus, that's the lower level. I want to come from the third eye aspect. So I know when it comes down to my solar level, I'm not too prideful, too vain, overconfident where I'm becoming arrogant, but I'm confident where I'm more sufficient and I'm more efficient as a leader. I'm more willing to listen than to become tyrannical and to give out orders without any type of consideration, we'll say. We're in that there. Peace.